first tonight. Many new parents will tell you that getting a moment to yourself is notoriously difficult. So baby slings often help to get things done around the house while keeping the newborn near.
Research by the University of Durham, though, says parents aren't being given good enough advice on how to use these slings and carriers safely, and there are calls tonight for new guidance to be issued with the aim of keeping babies safe. Chris Conway has more.
Little baby Jimmy was just 7 weeks old when he died. In a baby carrier during hands-free breastfeeding, he was in an unsafe position, too far down the sling, and he collapsed before passing away in hospital 3 days later.
1 minute everything was normal and fine, seemingly, and the next minute it was, sort of the worst thing that you could ever imagine. And basically, sort of Ellie had him in there and she was looking at him, then realised that he wasn't breathing. And we did check like the guidelines online, sort of can you breastfeed in this carrier? And on the website it says, yes, you can breastfeed in this carrier. But that was literally it, so there were no instructions on how to do it safely or any of the risks.
In new research published today, sleep experts at Durham University say new parents continue to receive little guidance on how to use slings safely. Their study, involving nearly 1,500 parents, found that almost 90% of them bought their carrier online, but less than 3% received any safety help. Even when parents bought their sling in a physical shop, only 30% of them received safety advice.
One of the things that we found was a risk with baby carrying is when parents don't wear the baby in an appropriate position. So if the carrier is too loose, the baby can slump down inside it. They can either get their nose and mouth covered, which is a suffocation risk, or they can get their chin on their chest, which kinks the windpipe.
You said before that there are massive benefits to parents of newborn babies using slings. Following your research, in your mind, do the benefits outweigh the risk?
Yeah, the benefits absolutely outweigh the risk because all babies benefit from being carried and from being close.
So I think the research has showed how important it is to have clear and accessible and understandable guidance for families or anybody using a sling or carrier. And historically, there hasn't been a lot of research in this area. So I think now, behind the scenes at the Lullaby Trust, we're working really hard to develop that guidance.
Jimmy's parents say no other family should experience the pain they have. They're determined to ensure safety advice comes with carriers rather than as an afterthought.
And Chris joins us in the studio. Chris, we heard in your report that new national guidance is being developed. What's the timeline for that? When's it expected?
Well, in working with Durham University and their research, the Lullaby Trust, who were featured in my report, hope to produce detailed guidance in the months ahead. They aim to work with the NHS to ensure that it's rolled out widely, not just here in the North East, of course, but right across the UK. Now, in the meantime, new parents who perhaps feel they need extra support and advice are encouraged to use the services of a sling library. There are 8 of them across the North East and North Yorkshire, and they allow parents to borrow and hire slings and get that important safety guidance. Now, interestingly, of the parents surveyed by Durham University, 3/4 of the ones who went to a sling library reported that they'd received personalised advice and guidance. The Lullaby Trust say they hope that that can help new parents get to grips with the safety of slings and carriers until their new guidelines are published.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much.
A parole hearing for double jeopardy killer Billy Dunlop will be made public. Dunlop strangled Julie Hogg in 1989 and hid her body behind a bath panel at her home in Billingham. After being tried for her murder, Dunlop later bragged about the killing and how legally he could not be prosecuted again for the same crime. Julie's mother, Anne Ming, successfully campaigned to overturn the centuries-old law, and Dunlop was jailed for life. His parole hearing, at which he is seeking freedom, will take place in October. Next works tonight, and the Prime Minister was put on the spot in York today over plans to build houses in a village nearby.
The government have been accused of bullying local councillors, but Keir Starmer insisted it's important to help younger generations get on the property ladder.
He was in the region to meet with all the regional mayors. Well, our political correspondent Tom Sheldrick is at Westminster for us. And Tom, it seems there are tough questions for the Prime Minister, no matter where he goes.
Yes, and of course there are big questions about his future. He insists he's getting on with the job. And in the diary this morning was a meeting with regional mayors from around the country that took place in York. The government's focus today was on giving mayors more powers to push through building projects and unblock developments stuck in the planning system, particularly for new housing. But 20 miles away in the village of Dishforth, councillors have accused the government of bullying them. Earlier this week they approved nearly 100 new homes despite big local opposition saying they felt they had no choice because of ministers' housing targets. So we asked some people there today for their reaction to the Prime Minister's plans to speed up building more widely.
I dread to think. I think we've gone away from brownfield sites and we now want to greenfield sites, which is, it's spoiling our village. Yeah, it's just, and I think you just see more and more of that.
These people who push these housing proposals through, would they like to come and live somewhere where the water and sewage system can't cope? I don't think so.
Planning like this is going to sail through. There's going to be more and more, and it's going to make not just the villagers' lives misery, but the people who come in as well.
Well, we spoke to the Prime Minister as he visited a big brownfield regeneration site in York city centre, but we put to him concerns of places like Dishforth and whether the government were riding roughshod over local residents. Here's what he said.
Of course we need to get the balance right, but I don't think we can keep forgetting young people. And having a home of your own is a base camp, if you like, for your life's aspirations and opportunities. And without it, it's so much harder for young people. I'm determined that we'll turn it around for them.
He's also trying to meet one of his key pledges to build 1.5 million new homes around England by the next general election. That looks like an uphill task, and as we've seen, it means creating enemies along the way.
And Tom, you're back with more politics later.
Yes, it's our regional political debate programme. I'm joined by local MPs to discuss how to help young people into work, whether we've got a government in limbo and Brexit 10 years since the referendum. Around the House is on after the late news tonight at 10:45 here on ITV1, or you can already watch the show online via ITVX.
Thank you, Tom. We look forward to it.
Parents are being urged to have regular conversations with their children about online privacy in a new campaign. It's estimated that a quarter of children aged 4 to 11 have already shared their name, for example, online.
The campaign from the Information Commissioner's Office is encouraging families to treat online safety as an essential life skill, alongside stranger danger and road safety. Kevin Ashford reports.
There. Oh, there.
Amy Harmon likes to stay across what her children are doing online, and that includes having conversations about online privacy and the dangers of sharing personal information.
It's all just been really natural, just to drop it into conversation so that it's not a big deal. It's just something that we all talk about. We talk about crossing the roads, we talk about different things that we do in life, and this really, especially how everyone is always using the internet and everyone's online now, it's just that gentle, just dripping it into day-to-day life, really.
New research suggests such conversations are increasingly important, with 24% of children questioned admitting they'd shared their real name or address online. 22% said they'd shared personal information such as health details. And 35% of parents surveyed believed their child would share personal information in exchange for game tokens or rewards.
Welcome back to Kids vs Grown-ups, what we really share online.
Which is why the data protection regulator has begun a campaign called Switched On to Privacy, aimed at encouraging parents to talk to children about how much information they share online.
So I got caught doing that once and I got told off.
These websites, these online services that children use all have different types of functionality, and without going onto those sites it can feel a little bit alien. But it is really important because a child's digital footprint can start from a very, very young age now, so it's important that they understand how their information is being used.
This cyber specialist in Gateshead says young people can often share personal information without realising it.
A lot of it is invisible, and I think that's what is the most important part to get across. Children are prioritising getting access to games, to platforms, to apps. They're not thinking about what they're sharing to get on there, so they're creating those accounts, they're putting their personal information in, but they're driven by what the latest trends are, what their friends are playing, what they're doing, and they're more focused on that. So when they're setting up these accounts, they are giving their personal information and not thinking about where that's going.
The campaign is urging parents to chat, choose and check. That is, chat with their youngsters about online privacy so they choose carefully what information they share, and to check privacy settings on apps and devices. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Now, can you ever have too much exercise? Well, some psychologists and coaching experts say that exercise addiction affects up to 300,000 people.
The rise of fitness-focused social media, along with things like health tracking apps, are seen as partially to blame. Nick Smith reports.
Regular exercise is a cornerstone of a healthy and active life, but there is a point where you can have too much of a good thing. Luke Tyberski certainly knows what this can feel like. After his career as a professional footballer was cut short by injury, he filled the void in his life through distance running, eventually becoming what he calls an ultra-marathon addict.
At first, it was actually a really great transition out of football, because then I had this community, I had these people who helped me to learn, and I loved it. I really did. So I involved my whole life around endurance sports. I didn't know it at the time. I had a massive loss of identity and I fell into depression. So I threw myself into the world of ultra endurance sports, and that's how my addiction really started.
On the surface, Luke was a documentary star, with film crews tracking his global triathlon challenges. But he was suffering with insomnia and would secretly run through the night. The need to keep going became overwhelming before he eventually reached out for help.
So it was a journey of seeing that therapist to start with and realising, talking about what I was going through and saying it out loud and hearing it myself going, if a client said this to me, I'll be like, you need to just stop. So it was then a case of I needed to slow down.
Gulshan Tahir is a psychotherapist specialising in behavioural addiction. She says habits around exercise are becoming more common.
Clinically, unfortunately, it's not recognised as of yet. However, within behaviour, it is recognised. We see it every single day as well. And mostly exercise is linked to things that are secondary, like eating disorders and things like that, where there will be a deeper rooted concern to actually exercise.
Personal trainers like Cheryl Tanner from Tyne can spot the signs of when people are pushing themselves too hard, and says there needs to be a proper balance in routines.
You've got to look at finding that balance. If you're exercising and you're not waking up feeling okay, if you're going out for a run or you're doing a weight training session and you've hit rock bottom and you're not feeling any better, it's a sign, you're doing too much. You want to understand that actually resting this day is important. Listening to how your body is very important.
It's important to remember that exercise can have huge physical and mental benefits for those making it part of their lives. It's just recognising when it tips over from enjoyment to obsession. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Well, let's stay on a similar theme, because this evening the Tonight programme will investigate whether building better nutritional habits could improve or even extend our lives. In the last decade, healthy life expectancy in the UK, in other words, the number of years that we live in good health, has fallen for both men and women to 61 years of age. Neuroscientist Dr. David Cox says choosing the right foods is important as we age to combat the growth of so-called zombie cells.
Let us first talk through some of the hallmarks of ageing. Every time you eat, we have these batteries in our cells which basically turn the energy within food into the energy we need to survive. But the problem is at the same time, they also produce exhaust fumes. They're called zombie cells. Basically, as you age, your body becomes more full of these damaged cells which just refuse to die off.
And you can watch tonight Healthy Aging, What Should You Eat, this evening at 7:30 on ITV1 and ITVX.
The ITV Evening News continues after us at 6:30.
Coming up, the Prime Minister meets the family of murdered student Henry Novak after accusing Elon Musk of trying to whip up division over the teenager's death. Kate pays an emotional visit to cancer survivors in Manchester. And the 6-year-old who scores the job of a lifetime as England's pre-World Cup mascot. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Well, let's turn to sport now, and the Newcastle Eagles call him Mr. 28 because of all his winners' medals. But Darius Defoe has decided to call time on his glittering career.
The 41-year-old retired as the most decorated player in the history of British basketball at the end of last season. He's been chatting with Simon O'Rourke.
This is his home. Darius Defoe has been on every step of the journey that's seen the Newcastle Eagles become the most successful team British basketball has ever seen. He's won all the trophies again and again. But even the great ones eventually have to say goodbye.
I just felt it was the right time. A few injuries, I didn't really play much. The season ending here.
How hard was the decision for you?
It was very hard. It was very hard, because my kids, my son, that's all he likes is basketball. So it was kind of a hard deal to tell him that I'm going to retire. But I think he knew it was time for me to.
I think it's fair to say it still hasn't really sunk in for any of us, particularly for him. He's been here the whole time I've been here, pretty much. So yeah, it's hard to think of him not being here with him being such part of the furniture.
22 seasons an Eagle. He was there in the BBL Trophy final in 2005 when Newcastle won their first major honour under the guidance of the legendary player-coach Fab Flournoy. Darius was there last year to pick up the Eagles' 28th major honour, the SLB Trophy. He was there for all of them. All the silverware, all the medals, all the champagne. Darius did it all.
It's been lots of up and downs going through that journey, lots of up and downs, but we stick with the aim that what we're trying to do. We want to win.
What is the city, the region, what has the place come to mean to you as well?
Home, friendly, welcoming, open arms. Newcastle, I would say ahead of London for me, because I spent my whole life in Newcastle. It's Newcastle and then London.
So if you take the whole thing, the whole person, the whole career, who is Darius Defoe?
Darius is just a lovely guy with a big heart that turns up here 9 a.m. every morning. As I say, puts his body on the line, works hard, significant influence in the team, and that's why he's Mr. 28.
Will he come back? Will you be a fan?
I'll always be a fan. I'll always be a fan of the Newcastle Eagles. I'll be around.
On the wall just down the corridor from us, there's a great picture of Darius with the word legacy over it. What is the legacy that Darius Defoe leaves behind?
I think the legacy he leaves behind is that you can be a loyal player. In anyone's career, the first thing that comes is yourself as a player. But what Darius has shown us as a club is that he's been an individual that wants to win for the club. This is a guy that just fought and bled for the club and Newcastle.
How much are you going to miss it?
Honestly, I'm going to miss it a lot. But I think it's the right decision to stop now.
He was the constant, the glue that kept the Eagles' empire together. He has retired, but Darius Defoe isn't gone, and he'll certainly never be forgotten.
Certainly won't. What a career. What a career. Shout out to Darius's family as well. He's got a lovely family. And Darius, thanks for being such a fine ambassador for the Eagles and for our region as well. Enjoy your retirement, my friend. Now, we're pretty used to singers and bands releasing a music video to accompany their new singles.
But back in the 60s, it was a bit of a radical concept. It's widely thought the first rock music video was the Beatles' I Feel Fine, which featured drawings created by John Lennon.
Those drawings have gone on display today after finding their way into the hands of a collector in Tyne. Tom Barton explains.
Outside the Beatles Museum in Liverpool this morning, a crowd was gathered, queuing up for a first glimpse of a special treasure. Behind the curtain, original drawings by John Lennon.
And there we go, folks, the first time they've ever been up close and personal for you guys.
The images with the lyrics from the Beatles track I Feel Fine were used in what's regarded as the first ever music video.
So Joseph, how does it feel to finally be sharing these pictures with the public?
It's great. I feel really privileged to have them here at the Liverpool Beatles Museum.
Rescued and kept together by Tynemouth Beatles collector Joseph O'Donnell.
It was always a goal to get at least one. So when 12 came up, I'm glad I was able to get 10 and reunite them. But there's all sorts you can have, and it's nice to have something that is artwork that you can put on the wall. Records, I tend not to frame records because I like to have them in my record collection and frame. Autographs, I'm scared to have on the wall in case they bleach, but artwork's a different thing. So it's really, really great to have it, and really privileged to be able to exhibit them in Liverpool.
And to share them with the public, with Beatles fans, how important was that to you?
Really important, especially because they've been rejoined together. I really wanted to make sure that they were seen before they were either sold to a private collection or they were just kept in my house at the time. I didn't want them just to be on the wall.
The pictures were drawn by John Lennon in conjunction with the film director Stephen Verona, a valuable addition to the Beatles Museum.
We're always looking for something that's unique. And when Joseph approached us with these, we thought, well, that's fantastic. We do have a drawing from John here at the museum, but we don't have those drawings. What we always strive for is making the experience better and better, for Beatle fans and music lovers. And they've definitely done that.
And with the specially invited crowd of superfans, another Beatles hit.
It's something different, isn't it? It's animated.
Oh, I love the art. Yeah. I mean, and it's to actually save this from, it could have ended up in a dumpster or whatever, and to see it on display here, it's such a huge part of who and what the Beatles were at that moment in time.
It's really cool to see and learn about the history and all.
They're really cool, yeah. The very 60s, they kind of reminded me a little bit of the later art style of Yellow Submarine.
It's just what John did, isn't it? Did his own thing and that's it.
This unique piece of Beatles history is on display to the public until the autumn. Tom Barton, ITV News, Liverpool.
So, here comes the sun. Here's the weather with Joe.
Expect clear skies, island vibes, and afternoons made for exploring. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Low pressure has tended to dominate our weather this week. We've seen more than our fair share of rain. There's a bit more to come. That said, tomorrow a brief respite. It should be a little drier for the northeast. It remains fresh and breezy as we head towards the weekend, with occasional spells of sunshine, but showers never too far away. Brief window of something a little drier tomorrow, perhaps, before the next system. A low pressure area moves up from the southwest into the weekend, chiefly affecting southern parts of the UK, but for the northeast we will see some rain, particularly on Saturday. Now back to this evening, quite a few showers around for the time being, but as we approach midnight and beyond, these turn a little bit more fragmented. We'll see a few breaks in the cloud before dawn, and for the northeast tonight, a cooler night than of late, in fact, in rural spots down to 8 or 9 degrees. Winds falling very light before dawn, and a generally dry start to Friday morning for many of us. Those are the sun times. It's up at 4:33 tomorrow, setting at 9:34 tomorrow evening. For the northeast, tomorrow will start on a much brighter note than it did today. We can't rule out 1 or 2 showers here and there, on and off throughout the day, just coming through on that breeze. But for the most part, it will be dry. Some sunshine here and there. Winds are very light, but it is feeling cool for the time of year. Maybe 15 or 16 Celsius at best tomorrow afternoon. Cloud will be building again tomorrow night as that low pressure begins to move up from the southwest. As we head into this weekend, an unsettled start on Saturday with rain. It's quite breezy over the next few days as well. Sunday looks a little drier, but low pressure still dominates next week.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
And for us hay fever sufferers, some good news. As we end the week, all species of pollen are coming in low. Friday, Saturday, and again on Sunday. See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe. That's today's news, sports and weather. Next up, it's the national and international news.
I'll have your update just after 10:30. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.